Now, my next guest, the Times journalist Sean O'Neill, has been waiting nearly 3 years for the inquest into the death of his daughter to start, and finally it begins on Monday. He's hoping that it will change how those suffering with ME are treated by medical professionals. His daughter, Maeve Boothby-O'Neill, died aged 27 in October 2021. She had been ill for years with ME, a poorly understood and debilitating disease regularly characterised as a psychological one as opposed to a potentially life-threatening illness. Maeve's condition deteriorated sharply in the last 7 months of her life. She was bedbound and the act of chewing was too exhausting for her, and she was becoming malnourished. She had 3 admissions at the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital, and the inquest is required to examine some of its clinical decisions, including the refusal to offer certain procedures. Sean O'Neill, good morning.
Good morning, Emma.
It's been a long time coming, and it's not going to be easy, I'm sure, for you and your family. But what are you trying to achieve?
I think my ambitions are quite limited. I mean, what I really crave and what I really want is obviously impossible because no inquest can bring Maeve back to life. But what I want and what I've realised through this process is how difficult it is for ME patients to be recognised and accepted as patients with a serious physical illness. There's a real kind of obstacle or obstruction within the medical profession to accepting that ME is genuinely a physical illness, and that culture of disbelief, of stigmatisation of patients is really, really harmful, I think, for hundreds of thousands of people.
I mean, it's also worth saying it's an illness that predominantly affects women, and we know more and more about women being dismissed within health services as perhaps being difficult, not taken seriously. But we also know that there are doctors who will recognise ME, but they find what they can offer very limited because the research is the way it is. I mean, if you're looking at the ME Association, it says its website says no effective drug treatment, but symptoms can be improved with specialist support.
There's a real problem in 4 areas. I think there's belief, there's a lack of specialist provision for care for severe ME. We know from admissions, very constructive admissions that the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital has made, that there is absolutely no specialist service for people with severe ME anywhere in the NHS or the private sector. There's no guidance for severe ME, no drugs, no treatment, no. I mean, you can't imagine saying that of any other illness, a severe illness that the medical profession in this country is not equipped in any way to treat. And I say this as someone who benefits from medical expertise. I have cancer and I've been kept well and alive for 15 years by incredible drugs and incredible doctors. And it's a huge source of bewilderment and disbelief to me that ME can be treated so badly.
A Department of Health and Social Care statement has said this government will ensure patients receive the care they deserve. We're committed to improving the care and support for people with ME. And Dr. Anthony Hemsley, the medical director of the hospital, the NHS Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital, has said at a pre-inquest hearing there's a lack of commissioned specialist service for severe or very severe ME regionally and nationally, and this gap has been confirmed by local integrated care board reports. In order to rectify this, action is required at the highest level. But I suppose that's that bigger picture that you're trying to look at now. What happened to Maeve in terms of, I mentioned some of what started to happen, and how old was she when she developed symptoms?
I first thought something was wrong when she was about 12 or 13. I picked her up from school one day. She and her mother and I are divorced, and so it was a weekend visit. I came to pick her up from school, and she'd fainted while I'd cross-country running. And those kind of symptoms of dizziness and sort of tiredness kept going for many years. She wasn't diagnosed fully with ME until she was 18. And again, there's no blood test or anything. People with ME blood test as normal, but they're clearly having terrible symptoms. So it's a diagnosis by elimination. And from 18, after she did her A-levels, which she did really well, she should have been going on to university, but she felt she wasn't physically able to. So she stayed home to try and rest and recover and pace her energy. But her ME just got worse and worse. She would sort of plateau and then get worse and then plateau and get worse again.
And what does that mean, get worse?
Well, there would just be, she just became increasingly housebound, and her energy envelope, if you like, became smaller and smaller, what she was actually physically able to achieve. So she paced herself very carefully. I mean, she did amazing things. My other kids got the most amazing presents of her. She'd design and knit jumpers for them, and she wrote the first draft of a very quirky crime novel set on Dartmoor in the 1920s, and it's a wonderful thing to read. But she should be turning 30 next month and should be doing something amazing in the world, but she's gone. And
with you trying to do this, I suppose you're trying to prevent anyone else being in that situation.
To be honest, Emma, I'm doing this too late. I've come to this whole subject too late. Since I started writing about this in 2020, I've been absolutely amazed at the number of people who have, there's a very toxic debate about ME online, but the people who contacted me are just ordinary families who are pursued by education authorities and social services, accused of fabricating illnesses, just persecuted in a way by the system when they should be shown compassion and love and support.
Well, the inquest begins tomorrow. Sean O'Neill, I'm sure we'll hear from many people this morning. Thank you for coming onto the programme.
Thank you.